The day I first slept in their guest room began with small plans. Nothing big, nothing heavy, just a simple dinner, a movie, and a promise that I would not hurry home after. I brought a small bag, a nightgown, a toothbrush, my tin box. I do not always know why I carry it. It feels like bringing a small history with me in case the night needs a story. When I arrived, the apartment was calm. The mother had opened the window a little so the air felt fresh. The father had set two chairs that did not creak at the table. He tapped the new one and smiled. "This one will not complain," he said. I laughed. "Good," I said. "We have enough voices." We cooked together, simple food, rice that did not stick. Eggs soft in the middle, a plate of sliced tomatoes, and a bowl of cucumbers with salt. We ate slowly. We did not try to make the evening special. We let the ordinary do its work. After dinner, Lena brought out a folded paper. "We wrote these," she said, "for our pockets like small compasses." She handed us each a card. On mine, she had written the word I had hung on their wall, enough. Daniel's card said listen. The mother's said mend. The father's said adjust the heat. Lena's said stay. We looked at them for a long moment. "Carry them," the mother said. "Touch them when you forget." I slid mine into my handbag. I knew I would find it when I needed it, the way you find a coin in a pocket you had forgotten. The guest room was ready, clean sheets, a small lamp, a glass of water. On the nightstand lay a folded note with one word on it, written in the mother's neat hand. "Home." I stood and looked at it, my eyes filled without falling. I sat on the bed's edge and let the words settle in the room. Before sleep, I opened my tin box. I added the note that said home. I placed it beside the ribbon from the wedding and the photo from the day of the leak. I ran my fingers over the old bus pass and the bank paper and the tiny sewing kit. I closed the tin and rested my palm on the lid. It felt warm, like a sleeping bird. In the middle of the night, I woke and heard low voices in the living room. Not tense, just two people talking. I went to the door and listened the way mothers do when they want to be sure everything is all right. Lena said, "I am glad she is here." Daniel said, "She has always been here." I went back to bed and slept like a child after that, the kind of sleep you do not have to hold tight. In the morning, the apartment smelled like toast. The father poured tea. He did not offer to drive me home. He did not offer a driver. He asked, "Will you stay for breakfast?" I nodded. "Yes." That one word felt like a chair pulled out for me without fuss. After we ate, the mother held up a dress and smiled shyly. "I kept this to show you," she said. "It was my old dress, the faded one, the one I wore the first day. I found a fabric like it," she said. "Soft, easy to wash." I was thinking, she paused, unsure if the idea was too bold. "We could turn yours into aprons, one for you, one for me. We will give the fabric a better job." My chest warmed. "Yes," I said. "Let us do that." We laid the dress on the table. We drew a simple shape with chalk. We cut carefully. The sound of scissors through cloth is a kind sound when you are making something new. We sewed together at the machine, shoulder to shoulder. The mother guided the fabric. I pressed the pedal with my foot. Our hands learned each other's rhythm. When we finished, we held up two aprons. They were simple and strong. The mother took a small piece of ribbon and stitched a tiny label inside each one by hand. On hers, she wrote mend. On mine, she wrote enough. We laughed at ourselves and then grew quiet. "I will never need a costume again," I said. "No more tests." The mother nodded. "No more tests," she said. "Only invitations." We washed the aprons and hung them to dry by the window. The wind lifted them and set them back down. If a dress can be forgiven, this is how it happens, by becoming useful in a new way. That afternoon, Lena and I went to the sewing circle again. The room above the shop smelled like starch and stories. The women welcomed us with smiles and warm tea. We sat and stitched. Our needles moved like small birds across a quiet sky. A woman pricked her finger and laughed. Always, she said. We all nodded. Life is like that. A little blood, a little thread, a good fix. On our way home, Lena took my arm. Do you think, she asked, that we should invite the aunt with the bright lipstick for soup this week? I looked at her. Yes, I said, let's give her a seat that does not squeak. We laughed. Wednesday came. We set the table with bowls and bread and a plate of sliced fruit. The aunt arrived with a cake and a careful face. She stood in the doorway for a second too long. Then she said, I would like to help. The mother handed her a stack of napkins. Fold, she said. The aunt folded and did not try to direct anyone. She watched, she learned, she placed the napkins neatly. She whispered to me when no one was looking, I am sorry I was sharp earlier in our story. I touched her hand. We are all learning, I said. You came, that is the hard part. We ate soup that tasted like it had rested and grown brave. We learned the aunt's laugh without edges. We watched her loosen the way a tight knot loosens when someone warms it with their hands. A few days later, we went to the market again. The stalls had changed their colors. Oranges were bright. Spinach was deep green. The father held up a bag of oranges. Sweet ones today, he said, as he always did. Then he added, we will buy extra for the neighbor who always waves. The mother nodded. Yes, she said. And for the old man who feeds the birds. Lena touched my arm. And for us, she said, smiling. We sat on the bench under the tree. The father handed out oranges. He peeled one with careful hands and passed segments around. We ate and let the juice run without fuss. A small child watched us with wide eyes. The father held out a piece. The child took it and giggled. Sweet, he said. The father laughed softly. Yes, he agreed. Sweet, a woman from the herb stall waved at me and called, Auntie. She pressed extra time into my bag again. I pressed a small orange into her hand. For your break, I said. She said, for your soup. We both smiled. Trade is not always money. Walking home, the mother linked her arm through mine. I do not check the locks twice when you are with me, she said. That is new. I looked at her hand on my arm. We check each other now, I said. She nodded, yes, that is better. The shop began closing early one day a week. The father kept his promise. We used those afternoons for small things that turn out to be large. A nap, a walk, a visit to the cemetery to brush leaves away. A drive to the river to watch slow water. A tray of tea at the sewing circle. A stop at my apartment to tighten a screw that had decided to loosen itself. On a rainy evening, I used my key again. I let myself in to leave a pot of soup on the stove. I wrote a note and propped it near the plant. Home, I wrote this time. When they arrived, the apartment smelled like ginger and onion and a little bit of rain from the open window. The mother lifted the lid of the pot and breathed in. She looked at the note. She left it standing there all night. We had one more mending to do, and it was not with thread, it was with words. I called Lena's mother in the morning and asked, May I take a walk with you? We walked in slow steps around the block. The street was wet, the air was cool. When I wore the old dress, I said, I thought I was being wise. I was afraid. I did not trust a new table to let me sit without a test. I am sorry. She nodded. I was also afraid, she said. I tried to make our life safe by making small rules that placed people in neat lines. I am sorry. We stopped, we looked at each other. Forgive me, we said at the same time. We laughed, we forgave. That afternoon, we held our small compass cards again. We sat at the table and read them out loud. Stay, Lena said. Listen, Daniel said. Adjust the heat, the father said. Mend, the mother said. Enough, I said. We put the cards back in our pockets. We did not need to frame them on a wall to obey them. We carried them where our hands would find them, in the places where money and bus passes and spare buttons live. On the way to my apartment that evening, I stopped at the doorway of the building where I once left with a small smile so I would not cry. I stood and watched the elevator doors open and close. A young couple came in. The woman's eyes were red. The man held the strap of a bag with both hands. He said, "Come inside. We will talk in the kitchen." The door closed behind them. I sent a blessing after them. May they find their teacups. May their table be kind. We hosted one more big soup night for the whole family. Not grand, just bigger than usual. The cousin came early again to cut carrots. The aunt folded napkins carefully. The mother put a chair on the end just in case. The father wrote a small sign and taped it to the doorbell. Come in, the door is open. People arrived and did not knock. They wiped their shoes and hung their jackets. They hugged and set down bags. The room filled with steam and stories. Before we ate, Daniel lifted his hand. A few words, he said, before soup. Everyone looked at him. He is not a man of many words. When he speaks, we listen. Our family is simple, he said. We keep 5 promises. He looked at the wall where our words used to hang and then back to the table. We stay, we listen. We adjust the heat, we mend, we remember we are enough. He looked at me and smiled. These rules came from a kitchen, he said. They work in a kitchen, they work in a family. The father tapped his glass with a spoon. Here, here, he said, and his face was bright. We ate and laughed and cleaned up without being asked. The aunt washed glasses. The cousin dried. The mother hummed without knowing it. The father stood by the window for a moment, quiet, a man who had learned to let a day be a day. Later that week, I went to the school again to bring a small basket of bread for the staff. I wore my new apron over my clothes, the one made from my old dress. It felt like wearing a lesson. The woman with the loud laugh hugged me. You are still neat, she said. I laughed. You are still loud. The children's voices were high and alive in the yard. I left the bread and the sound of their day followed me down the steps like a friendly echo. At home, I opened my tin box and looked inside. The bracelet. The bus pass, the bank paper, the clinic receipt, the blue ribbon, the photo of Daniel on the ladder with his father steadying it and me holding the light. The note that said home, the tiny sewing kit. The small grocery list from our first soup night, stained in one corner like a watermark. The cards with our words. It is not a box of money. It is a box of proof that care is a kind of wealth. On a quiet evening, I sat by the window with tea. The streetlights blinked on one by one. The fridge hummed. Somewhere upstairs, a chair moved and settled. I thought about the first day, my old dress, my small test, the laugh that stung without aiming to. I did not scold that woman. She did what she knew. I thanked her for surviving hard rooms. I thanked this woman for learning how to open doors. If you are listening to me now and you are about to knock on a door where you fear being measured, I want to tell you what I have learned. You do not have to shrink to fit a room, take up your true size. You do not have to test hearts with costumes. Show your own, let others show theirs, bring your small truths with you. the ones that fit in a pocket, the ones that say I worked. I loved I kept my promises. Sit when you are offered a seat. Stand when someone needs yours. Share your bread, accept theirs. When the pot boils over, turn the heat down, move it, make space. This is a family rule. This is a life rule. Mend small tears before they grow. In fabric, in words, in days, keep a key on a hook for someone who is learning to come inside. Accept a key for yourself and use it without apology. Remember you are enough, not more, not less. Enough is not small, it is complete. One last market morning before the season changed again, we walked our slow path together. The herb woman pressed thyme into my hand. The father held up oranges and said, "Sweet ones today." We laughed because he always says that. We bought bread with the darker crust. We sat on the bench. We watched people move like a quiet river. We talked about nothing heavy. We let the day be. On the way home, Lena took my arm. "Ma," she said, as if she had been saying it all her life, "come for lunch?" I said, "I have soup." She said, "Then we have bread." The mother said, "And a cake that might dip." The father said, "It will hold the icing." We laughed. We reached their door. The sign the father had taped earlier still hung there. "Come in, the door is open." He left it up even when we were all inside. He said it was for the feeling, not for the bell. I agreed. We ate, we rested. We remembered the old days without letting them take the chair. We let the new days sit in our laps and learn our voices. We were not perfect. We were kind. We fixed things when they frayed. We turned the heat down when it climbed. We stayed, we listened. We laughed without edges. That night at my window, I said the line out loud that began this story to hear how it sounded after everything. When my daughter-in-law told me to leave, I smiled instead of crying. It felt like an old coin in my mouth. Familiar, true. Then I said the line that came after and changed the whole room. Today, when she says, "Stay a little longer," I smile too. Both smiles are small, but they are different. One covers, one opens. The difference is what we learned. I acted poor when I met my daughter-in-law's family and they laughed. Now when we laugh, we do it together. We hold bowls, we pass bread, we keep a chair for whoever arrives late the way life sometimes does. The laugh is not loud. It does not need to be, it is steady. It is warm, it is enough. If you find yourself at a door with your hand raised, afraid of being measured, take a breath. Knock gently, bring your story, let theirs meet it. Sit down. Turn the heat down when needed. Mend what you can, keep a key for someone who might need it. And remember, you are enough and there is room at the table. This is our ending, it feels like a beginning. The guest room light is soft. The note still says home. The aprons dry by the window and will soon smell like soup. The key on the hook winks in the afternoon sun. The kettle sighs, the fridge hums, the city settles. We are here. We are a family made from simple things. We are not loud, we do not need to be. We are steady. We are warm, we are enough.